Fact, we will never enjoy true success until we learn to see the big picture. Hey, I'm Steve Diggs. This is The Big Picture. Welcome aboard. Now let's go to the homepage. Today I want to share with you a 3-step success strategy. 3 things that you might find very, very helpful going forward in your own lives. To begin, let me make this comment. The most important thing, physically speaking, that you can probably do is to stay healthy. Now again, I understand that there are things that happen that we have no control over. If you get T-boned in an intersection today, you may not have had any way to stop that. There are plenty of cancers. We don't know where they come from. But in truth, many of the diseases, many of the injuries that we deal with are things that could be prevented. What we have to understand is simply this. Our health, for many of us, is going to be the very best thing that we have going forward to allow us to work. And our work, in many cases, is going to be the only thing that we have that allows us to build some degree of wealth going forward. You see, I'm convinced that work is the greatest wealth builder out there, and that sick is extremely expensive. And I believe that we all owe it to the people that we love, the people that we lead, to do everything possible to try to stay well. And I'll tell you something, this is a hard confession, but until about 1992, I'm not sure that I really loved my own family like I should have. I was 39 in 1992. I was working way too many hours every week. I was too stressed for what I was doing. It was not a good time. In 1992, that is when I found myself at age 39 in the hospital having 5 heart bypasses. Now again, I could tell you more about it, but I will simply say this. It has now been well over 20 years. God has been good to me, and I'm still feeling great. I'm still going to the gym 3 days a week, and I'm running 5 miles at a whack. But I will tell you something. After that was over, I realized something. I realized that I could have one of 2 things. I could either continue to eat the way I wanted to eat and get all of the non-exercise that I didn't want to get. I can tell you back in those days, the only exercise that I hardly ever got was like at nighttime, I might like roll over in bed. I didn't do a lot of exercising. But I was at a point then where I understood that I could do, like I said, one of 2 things. I could either continue eating badly, watching TV, eating chips, and not exercising, or I could be with my family a little bit longer. I made the decision that I love my family and that I wanted to get into shape. That's when I began this exercise program. I started eating differently. And like I said, I've been feeling really good since then. Let me give you 3 tips. These are those 3 great success strategies that I think might help all of us. Number 1, we need to be sure that we're getting enough sleep. Again, we're living in a culture that is horribly sleep deprived. And the studies now are showing that a lot of the depression, a lot of the illnesses that we struggle with, poor relationships, and because of that, stressed out relationships, come from a lack of sleep. Many adult Americans probably need to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And by the way, that means that we start to cut things off a few hours early. We stop drinking caffeine. When we go to bed in a nice dark room where there isn't a lot of stuff going on. We leave our telephone out of the room, so we're not listening to the phone all night long with every text that comes in going boing, boing, and keeping us halfway awake. Second thing that I would recommend is this. We need to learn to eat properly. And that's a hard thing to do, especially if you travel very much, because so much of the stuff that you run into on the road is not good stuff to be eating, at least not on a regular basis. And again, I am no dietitian. I am no doctor. Get good professional advice on all of the things that I teach, on all things, but especially in this segment, from a medical or a dietary professional before you start any of this stuff. But consider the fact that many adults probably don't really need more than about 1,600 to 2,700 calories per day. Think about that. Watch your caloric intake. And number 3, exercise. And again, get your doctor's approval before you do any of this. But I have learned over these years that if I will go to the gym and if I will work out for about 35 minutes, at least 3 days a week, I really start to see some good benefit. In my case, what I want to do is get my heart rate up to about 70 or 80% of its maximum. Now, let me just share with you a little trick here. This is a rule of thumb. It doesn't hold exactly, but this is sort of what I tend to work with. I take the number, you can write this down if you want to, I take the number 220 and I subtract from that my age. Well, I'm I'm 62 now this year, all year long. So I subtract, well, say 60 away from 220. That leaves 160. Now that is theoretically my maximum heart rate. I don't want to get anywhere close to that. But I do want to get my heart rate up to maybe 70, maybe 75 or 80% of that. So when I start exercising, I test my pulse and I test it for about 10 seconds. Then I multiply that by 6 to see what my pulse or my heart rate is per minute. That in mind, if I'm hitting somewhere between 115, 130 beats per minute, I feel pretty good and I go forward. Here's what we need to understand. If we have enough sense to turn the alarm clock off in the morning, and remember this also as a sidebar, alarm clocks and snooze buttons are important things. Alarm clocks are good. Snooze alarms are for losers. Don't hit that snooze alarm. Don't keep using that. And also, if we have enough sense to get up and brush our teeth and drive to work in the morning, we can do all of these things. These are simple things to do. It's easy to set a goal, but here's the deal. It is awfully, awfully hard to stick with a goal. I can still remember back in the 1990s when I first started exercising. I remember coming back to the gym right after the new year. And I looked around and the place was packed. And I said to somebody, where did everybody come from? And that guy looked at me and said, oh, these are the people with their New Year's resolutions. Give them a couple of months, they'll be gone. This is the way the picture looked at the 1st of January. By the 1st of February, that's more the way it looked. You see, people can make goals, they can set ambitions, but living to those, sticking to them, that gets pretty tough. I love what the late Coach Bear Bryant used to say. He used to say that the road to success is filled with way too many parking places. Hey, I'm Steve Diggs. This has been The Big Picture. See you next time.